Verse 108. Its rays of light move forward like a mass of fire. They who are bright-coloured, charming and auspicious transform the triple world. It's taken us a while, but now we're using the appropriate language to express spiritual practice, enlightenment practice. In the previous verse, verse 107, we're told, self-realisation and absolute purity. This stage is my own. It is the highest station of Maheshvara, the Akanishta heaven shining brilliantly. As I mentioned last time, Maheshvara is Shiva, who was later replaced by Vairochana. And if you're a Hindu or a Buddhist, this might be of interest. But as enlightenment practitioners, all we need to know is that Maheshvara, Shiva, or Vairochana stand for the Absolute. It's the highest place that the mind can rest or point to. The Akanishta heaven, the highest heaven. Self-realisation and absolute purity. This stage is the stage of Buddhahood. It's the Buddha's own stage. It is actually the stage of enlightenment practice. At this point, we are using the mind to fuel our practice. This highest stage bypasses the mind. It's called the imageless. But we use the mind. The mind can now be used to identify and burn up all those factors which prevent us from remaining in self-realisation and absolute purity. And this is the process that's described in verse 108. It's enlightenment practice, spiritual practice. The mind can now be used, driven by enthusiasm, moving like a mass of fire. Verse 108 says it's transforming the triple world. Now you can understand this in mythical terms if you like, about the whole external world being transformed, but from the perspective of enlightenment practice, it's transforming the triple world centred on the enlightenment practitioner. The triple world is the world of all those processes which constitute the individual. This is the first knowledge of the Buddha. It transforms all those processes known as the external world. This is the second knowledge of the Buddha. And it transforms the interaction between the two. No longer creating suffering. This is the third knowledge of the Buddha. Instead, creating or establishing enlightenment, self-realisation, absolute purity. Verse 109 explains this further. Some worlds are being transformed, while others have already been transformed. There I preach the various vehicles which belong to my own stage. So it's an ongoing process. These worlds are all the different aspects of being, aspects of individual psychology, aspects of understanding the nature of the so-called external world, of conventional understanding, and understanding the dynamic between the two. In preaching the various vehicles which belong to my own stage, we're not interested in the usual understanding of this. These are the usual 2 or 3 vehicles, that of the Shravaka, the Prajika Buddha and the Bodhisattva. Whatever means necessary are used. So we're not interested in formulating paths, the stages, like the bhumis, for example, which were looked at previously. They're all done from self-realization and absolute purity. This stage is beyond all other stages, and it cannot be approached by any other stages. It is realization. This is the stage that belongs to the Buddha. It's the stage that belongs to the successful enlightenment practitioner. And this is pointed out in verse 110. In self-realization itself there is no time. It goes beyond all the realms belonging to the various stages. Transcending the measure of thought, it establishes itself as the result of no appearance. The translators made a couple of extra explanations, but I don't think there's any need for them. In self-realization itself, there is no time. So if there's no time, there can be no stages. It is immediate and direct realization. It's something that initially happens and subsequently continues to happen, or is reinforced by spiritual effort. It goes beyond all the realms belonging to the various stages. So we don't need to bother about all other formulations. We can use other formulations as a way of reminding us to practice, of helping us appreciate the nature of our practice. It can help us get it in to the correct perspective in relation to everything else that seems to be going on. But once that, we leave them behind. We transcend the measure of thought. This is what thought does. It measures things, it parcels things up, and it becomes established as a result of no appearance. Which means we are unmoved. Our sense of being, our center, is immovable. No appearance is the imageless. This is the reality. Everything else is story. The attention is no longer usurped by form, by what is apparent. Self-realization is established as a result of no appearance.